Good morning, everyone. Lots going on as usual. Today's Monday, October 13th, 2025, Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. I have had one Thanksgiving and we're going to go to our second Thanksgiving today. So Thanksgiving I like Thanksgiving quite a lot. There's pies, there's good food, there's family. It's everything that Canada should be, right? I think there's a lot of goodness in Thanksgiving, so I hope you're enjoying your Thanksgiving. Tommy Robinson's back in court today, and he is. It's an interesting case, and I think it is instructive of how they will misuse the legal system to crack down on anybody they don't like Tommy Robinson, right? UK China scandal keeps blowing up and breaking open. There are lots. I forgot my pen. Darn! I play with a pen every day during the show, and I forgot my pen. Anyway, there are a whole bunch of things happening with China and the United Kingdom, and it mirrors again with Carney's kind of an expat from Europe, right? He's a Brit who was in charge of their banking system, and so I think that it's interesting that China is so influential in Canada, and also I didn't realize how influential they are in England, and apparently England is terrified to say no to China, and that is brewing this scandal. They're so terrified they're looking past spying in hopes that nobody notices it either. So, and they're having a really hard time. Little Iran in Toronto? Yep. Olivia Chow is unveiling that new street sign for Yonge Street, and I'll show you that. I've got video, and it's pretty wild stuff. And Black Monday's canceled. China softened their position on the rare earth metals, and Trump said, "Yeah, we're still a go for November 1st anyway." So I don't know what's happening, but it seems like Trump is taking this opportunity to push and play hardball, and China's trying to normalize things. But at least China's trying to normalize things. And again, I'm not blaming Trump. I'm just saying it's interesting watching all this unfold. I wasn't really worried about a Black Monday event. Not really. I didn't think, I thought maybe a coin flip, right? Like 50-50 chance this happens, but probably not based on what we've seen in the last year, right? If there's a serious threat to the economy, Trump usually acts to avert it, and China seemed willing to act to avert it. So as soon as I saw the tweet I'll show you, I thought, okay, well, there's nothing to worry about here. At first, you look at this and you see, how is this shaping up? But we'll see. Again, China is trying to reconcile with Canada, and the timing of that is interesting because of what's going on with the United States. So I don't know, are we going to reconcile with Canada? Are we going to reconcile, with China and have the canola sales that Saskatchewan's demanding, and fix the fisheries, Noel, right? And stop the tariffs on the fisheries from China, et cetera, fix all of that? I have no idea, but it seems like there is a pathway to that, and maybe whatever's happening in the United States is creating that pathway. Should Canada take advantage? I don't know, but there's all sorts of things going on this Thanksgiving Monday, and so lots to get to. Let's get to it. First, Dan McTeague says, "Happy and blessed Thanksgiving, friends. Here's to appreciate what we have and to better days for all in the years ahead." And so happy Thanksgiving. And, there's the turkey and the corn and the wine and all the rest. So I hope that you are enjoying. And here is Donald Trump. This is Fox News. I'm not going to play this. He's not really saying much in this clip yet. So there's lots of other things that I want to play. So I don't want to burn the time on this. Dutch is highlighting this. President Trump departs for a historic Middle Eastern summit in Egypt, aiming to finalize a Gaza ceasefire deal. The agreement, announced on October 8th, involves phased hostage releases and Hamas disarmament with rare cross-party support. The Sharm el-Sheikh signing ceremony, attended by global leaders, marks a potential end to the Israel-Hamas war after 2 years though implementation challenges persist. So there are regional skirmishes. There are people firing at each other still. The war is over, but the fighting's not quite done yet at the front, I guess. Here's somebody asking Trump, "Is the war over?" And Trump says, "Yes." So here you go.
Is the war now officially over? Do you have any message, Mr. President?
That's it. That's it. I couldn't hear anything else. There's another 10 seconds, but I couldn't hear anything else. You say thank you. They leave. Thank you. Bye. That's it. So, is the war over, Mr. President? Yes. They call him a colossus of peace, and they say history, Jews all down through history will remember what you've done here, Mr. President. So Trump is going to address the Knesset. There's some UN teleprompter jokes. Here we go.
President.
Oh, it's been a day since the last two fast-talking incident. Apologies, everybody. I just have to get better. Here we go.
You stand before the people of Israel not as another American president, but as a giant of Jewish history, one for whom we must look back 2.5 millennia into the mists of time to find a parallel, Cyrus the Great. You, President Donald J. Trump, are a colossus who will be enshrined in the pantheon of history. Thousands of years from now, Mr. President, the Jewish people will remember you. We are a nation that remembers. Far from being a local struggle, what we are witnessing is a global struggle, a global battle between the forces of extremism, radicalism, and fundamentalism, and those of freedom, liberty, and democracy. What the world needs now is not appeasers who feed the crocodile in the hope that they will be eaten last, like the kind we have seen recently at the UN General Assembly. And by the way, President Trump, your team has checked the teleprompter. It is working beautifully. What the world needs now are more leaders who are brave, resolute, strong, and bold. The world needs more Trumps.
There you go. So Trump is being lauded. People really like what he's doing, especially Israel. Israel is very excited about all of this. Viktor Orban says President Trump has done it again upon his invitation. I will attend the peace summit in Sharm el-Sheikh today. Sorry if I'm getting that wrong. Today, where the leaders of the United States, Qatar, Turkey, and Egypt will sign the Middle East peace plan. A tremendous achievement. President Trump has made it happen. And if we do not fall for the pro-war siren call, he will get it done in Ukraine as well. We must give him all the support he needs for that. Regardless of geography, size, or weight, there exists a global pro-peace network that works together for peace everywhere, whether in the Middle East, the Caucasus, or Ukraine. Hungary is a proud member of this pro-peace network, the Alliance of Common Sense People. So there you go. Peace in the Middle East is what the goal was, and Trump is trying to make it happen, I guess, and all sorts of people are doing that, and other people are riding coattails. Carney is riding some coattails. He says, Andy Lee says, Mark Carney adds a stop onto his global taxpayer-funded junket to make it seem like he had a part in brokering a Middle East peace deal, PR theater for the peasants to make him appear relevant on the world stage. I think that's true. Robert Fife is reporting Prime Minister Carney Prime Minister office confirms that Carney will depart for Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, this evening to attend the signing of a Middle East peace plan that he had nothing at all to do with. As a representative of Canada, shut up, Canada. Okay, sorry. Brian Lilley is responding to CTV News as well, and he's taken Carney out to the woodshed. He says, all Carney has done is undermine the peace process. Now he's jumping on Trump's bandwagon, and he and his government want to take credit for something they had nothing to do with. Yep. 100%. Totally agree. Here's Keir Starmer. Same. Cold 957 says, quite honestly, Keir Starmer attending an Israel-Hamas peace summit in Egypt is utterly pointless, frankly insulting, and just more gaslighting. Yep. So Keir Starmer had nothing to do with this. Mark Carney had nothing to do with this. In fact, they were saying declaring Palestinian statehood and undermining actively the peace process while Trump was trying to get it done. And this was like a couple of weeks ago. Now Trump has to, glad hand these people? Anyway, I find it very, very interesting what's going on here. Will this peace deal hold, right? Will Trump get the Nobel Prize in 26 for all of this work that he's done now? And Trump put out a tweet, or a truth, or whatever it is. He said, I hear Afghanistan and Pakistan are having a problem. I'll put an end to that one too. Like, don't worry, everybody. I've got this handled. So it's okay, man. Sure. Great. If he's a peacemaker like that, and genuinely a peacemaker like that, and he seems to genuinely be, that's good, right? That's not a bad thing. That's a good thing, isn't it? I think. Anyway, weird, right? Here's the Black Monday that wasn't. Oh, that would have been a good title too. The Black Monday that wasn't. Darn. Unusual Whales is reporting China's Commerce Ministry clarifies that rare earth exports controls do not amount to an export ban. China hopes U.S. side will return to the proper track of dialogue. So, and Truth Bros says Black Monday is canceled. So I haven't seen anything. Now, markets don't open in Canada because the markets are closed, but Trump's in Israel. I haven't seen circuit breakers tripped. I haven't seen anything like that. Usually when big news happens or when overnight markets are very volatile, you get news of the overnight markets being volatile because like China's open and like there's a whole bunch of like Australia I'm sure is open. There's all sorts of things happening, right? And so like while we sleep. And so when I wake up and I have a look at the news, which I do, if there's something going on or if people expect something to happen, people are talking about it a lot before the market opens anyway, right? Like it's the rumors that cause the action anyway, ish. So it's one of those things. Nothing. I didn't see anything. So we'll see. I could be wrong. Hope I'm not wrong about that one though. I hope everything is just, smooth sailing in commerce section of the world. Tara says, I've definitely voted for this. This is the net zero. And apparently the White House is announcing $8 billion in green new scam cancellations amid a Democrat shutdown. So Russ is saying nearly $8 billion in green new scam funding to fuel the left's climate agenda is being canceled. More info to come from Energy. The projects are in the following states: California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, Illinois. Oh man, I don't know all the M ones. A whole bunch of M states: New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico, Oregon, New York, Vermont, and Washington. I just didn't know all the M ones. Sorry, everyone. I should know all the M ones. Oh well. Here is Catherine Swift, and she says, and Gary, she's responding to Gary. Gary says, Alaskan oil tankers have plied the waters off of North BC coast for decades, carrying it through the Strait of Juan de Fuca to refineries near Vancouver, Seattle. No protests, no problem. BC's objection to any tankers carrying Alberta oil are a farce. And Catherine Swift says absolutely correct. And oil tankers bringing oil to Eastern Canada from Saudi Arabia and Venezuela operate all the time. This ridiculous oil tanker ban on northern BC is absurd and pointless. And it is just meant to stifle our ability to get our product to market. And that's not good. We don't want to be in a situation where we can't have the products that we're selling, like oil and gas or LNG or anything like that. We can't get it to market and we can't deliver it properly, right? Like if you have a business and you have the best thingamajig, right? The best widget, the best whatever it is, and you can't get it to market, you can't get it to your customers, well, they're not going to pay you because they can't get it, right? And so that's not great. And so you have to it is incumbent on the business. That means it's your responsibility to figure out a way to get your product to your customers, right? And Canada has not done a good job of that at all. So it is pretty disappointing. Catherine Swift, again, is pointing out the issues. This is our grab bag of governance, and we got time, so that's good. Catherine says, she's responding to Sean, and Sean says the federal government cannot run a payroll system and the tax department cannot answer their phones. So yeah, they're not ready for more responsibility. Right. And do you remember the passport office strike? Right. Can you imagine if the job was, sorry, somebody's texting me. Can you imagine if the job was to do your taxes and they went on strike or something like that and the government is just crippled because they can't bring in taxes because the people who usually do the taxes are on strike? I don't know. I feel like it's a whole, it would be bad, like backing up the passport office was bad. And there are other examples of government action that just aren't worthwhile. So Catherine says, also, if they're doing our taxes, they'll want all kinds of info on us that they can't access now. This would be a great way to move towards a social credit type system like China has to keep tabs on every aspect of our lives. No thanks. Yeah, and we're going to talk about the digital ID system coming up very, very shortly. Here is Mark, and he says, Olivia Chow is on fire. First, the woke bat throwing, then the most cringe Diwali announcement ever. I didn't pay attention to that one. Now, Toronto unveils a new district, Little Iran. At this rate, she's turning the city into a diversity theme park with no economy. So really, honestly, this says Little Iran. It's a young street sign.
Farsi or English? Farsi. Ready? Yek.
It says Little Iran, and it's a young street sign, and they did the countdown. She said Farsi or English, and they said Farsi, And then they did the countdown in Farsi. I wouldn't know how to count down in Farsi. Jim is saying, and so that's, I don't like the idea of having a little Iran sign. Didn't we change the name of Dundas Square for ties to slavery, but like Iran, it's supposed to be a wonderful thing to celebrate. How does Iran treat its women? How does Iran treat the LGBT community, right? Little Iran? Are we going to be treating people the same way in Little Iran? Are we going to throw people off buildings? Are we going to stone women? Little Iran? Are you kidding me? Like, what? Everybody, oh, let's all wear burqas too. Yay. What? How does this make any sense? Jim McMurtry says Kamloops IRS deaths 25 and 26. Both Agnes and her brother Charlie are on the NCTR list of deaths at the school, but she died in the hospital and he died on a reserve, the Spachim Indian Reserve. Of the 26 deaths I've reviewed so far, none took place at the school. This is a fraud on a grand scale. So the lies about the residential schools, after the hate speech laws go into effect, perhaps they're going to say that talking about this is hate speech in the same way that questioning the Holocaust is hate speech. And is that an acceptable way to firm up history? Right? I feel like it's not. I feel like it is a bad way to, it is a bad and tyrannical way to run society. Here is a Muse, and they're reporting on this. Antifa, GAI's Seamus Bruner, exposes a shallow network of activist nonprofits using federal funds in the United States, but I think this happens in Canada, to finance radical protest operations. The report names the Arabella and Tides networks as key conduits supported by globalist donors like Hans-Jörg Wyss and Neville Roy Singham. While Trump's DOJ investigates Antifa crimes, why are taxpayers still paying legal bills through nonprofit loopholes? So it's very interesting how Antifa is operating, and it's very, very concerning if you ask me. The idea that Antifa is not an organization and all of these other things that they're gaslighting us with, it's really, really strange. Very, very odd. House of Commons staffer says Mark Carney still doesn't have a constituency office. I just checked. And so how does Mark Carney not have a constituency office? If he had a constituency office, he probably would be protested, right? And Page Wizard Games says, are our universities in Canada functioning okay or even marginally competent in Manitoba? This is a recent talk to be given in the Faculty of Education at University of Manitoba. What does this have to do with education? So this is the write-up of the talk, the John Irving lecture with Dr. Gerald Walton, October 22nd, and then the details there. It says, coming out of the cis-het closet, the time is now. Think queer activism is just for queer people? Think again. In Canada, ever-shifting political contexts have made the co-conspiracy of cisgender and straight people with queer people perfectly urgent. Surpassing mere allyship, cis-het people can and should step up with queer communities in resistance to anti-queer discrimination that has flourished over the past few years. Gerald Walton, professor at Lakehead University and editor of the Gay Agenda, claiming space, identity, and justice, argues that bold, united activism is key to confronting rising repression and authoritarianism. They themselves are behaving like the tyrants that they claim everyone else is. And it's very interesting to watch, but it's not accurate at all. We have a little bit of time. The premise here, we're going to talk about digital ID. The premise here is fundamentally that the digital ID is here already. This guy says criminals who are committing violent crimes are being let out of jail with no questions asked, and people who are posting memes because their country's being invaded and they don't like it are being jailed. And that's a big problem, and it's coming to Canada. And I think that he's painting a picture of the worst possible outcome. I'm not saying he's wrong. I'm saying be careful what you manifest, because your words bring about our reality, right? Our words bring about our reality. So I don't necessarily believe that what he's laying out here is the future 100%. I think it's a possible future. You know, like at the end of Wayne's World where they do the super happy ending and they go diddle-doo, 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 and then there's like 3 different endings and then they do the real ending, right? So like this could be one. I don't want it to be this one. but plausible.
How the fuck does this make any sense? You can do an armed home invasion in Canada and get bail for repeat offenders, but post a meme online and soon that's gonna land you in jail. This isn't a joke. They're already doing that in UK. People in the UK are getting arrested in the middle of the night for posting their opinions and memes online. There is zero freedom of speech. The government decides what's hate and what's acceptable. That's dictatorship, not democracy. And now, Canada is walking the exact same path. New hate crimes is coming to Canada, and it gives the government full power to charge you for anything that you post online. The crazy part is, you're gonna be able to get charged for preventative if your neighbor or somebody else thinks you're gonna commit a hate crime online. They're gonna strip away all your rights, they're gonna give you curfews, and they're gonna cancel any internet or network connection you might have to prevent hate crime. And they'll pass it quietly, right under your nose, while the media posts on their headline so everybody gets distracted. Just like they banned Canadians from not being able to see the news online. One step after another, straight into control. First, they separate people. Then they silence them. Then they disarm them. Registered gun owners already have 1 year to turn them in. Next, they'll do whatever the fuck they want with you. You won't even have a voice to fight back. If this doesn't scare you, if this doesn't make you angry, then the problem isn't the government anymore. It's our people staying silent. I know there are many Canadians out there that are awake and fed up. Now is the time to speak. We gotta unite to protect what's left of our Canadian freedom before it's too long gone.
Speak to who? They're not. The people in charge are in charge, and they're bringing this in, and they're not gonna stop just because you've said, "Hey, we don't like this." Now, if there's a massive public backlash, then maybe, but it's not a dead cert. This is just one more. Doc Malik says the truth about digital ID is that it's already here. The brick card is a distraction, a clever psyop to make people they think they have stopped something, while the real system quietly embeds itself behind the scenes. This is Doc Malik, and this lady and these guys are talking about digital ID, and I think that they're not wrong. After this, I've got to kill the stream, but I want you guys to hear this as well. Here we go.
I don't think the message has gone in. Because Starmer came out and he said about brick cards, I thought, oh, here we go. They're now going to start pulling the hammer down on stuff. And I was like, listen, everyone's got digital ID already. They just have. And this whole brick card thing is not what's coming. It's here, whatever name they call it. We're already all in the digital prison. What this latest kind of move is literally to shut the door and lock the key on you, okay, in that digital prison. So we have had digital ID for a long time. It is not coming, it is here. The whole concept is a fusion between state and corporate partners so that the corporate partners can switch you off at the bank account, at the services end, anything that's not run by the state, okay? And the state can switch you off for any service, as they call it, that is run by the state. So access to benefits, access to welfare, access to whatever. If they determine that you don't meet their tick box for whatever their conditions are for being able to be a good little slave citizen, and I